Homelessness 2.0, day 33. I'm willing to have a sit-down conversation with you, especially if you happen to have opposing opinions about stuff that I may be talking about. And the reason for that is because this and so many other things are just, and it's not just me, it's so many people on the internet are having monologues, and we're not being challenged, we're not being questioned, we're not even just having conversations. The conversation is the real thing. Communication is the key to all relationships. And a relationship doesn't just have to be a romantic one. It doesn't have to be with the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, or the person you're having sex with, or anything like that. Relationships, something that I learned in acting, is you having a connection with another. It can be a connection with a city. It can be a connection with your computer. It can be a connection with your tissue box. I just happen to have one because it was there. And, you know, I got to blow my nose sometimes. One of the things that I had considered a long time ago, and I still consider it, especially during this period of my transition of life, is the idea that I would go around and I would talk to people about all kinds of stuff. Go to a different town, go to a different city or whatever, have the food. You know, see a show that's like, you know, or see a thing that's about, well, not so much about the place, but with which the place matters. You know, like I can go to New York and I go to off-Broadway or off-Broadway or go to Broadway itself and then go have a conversation with somebody in New York about it. But instead, maybe you go to a shop that's, you know, run by immigrants. And then you have a conversation with those people, or people who work, you know, who shop there, and talk to them about that situation. But not necessarily just about that, but just about them, about the people. Learn about the people. And I find that, especially now, because I was thinking about Twitter. I was just on it briefly. I don't spend that much time on Twitter. I remember when Twitter first came out. It was basically a texting platform for everybody. It was like, hey, you can text, but you can text anybody. As long as you know their information, or you can just text out into the void and people can listen to you. And there was a bigger community from what I recall. Twitter was more of it was a tool to build communities, from what I recall. Communities elsewhere would get along and, hey, do you have a Twitter? We could talk to each other there and blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, because you can get the notifications and all that stuff. Now, it doesn't feel like it's that. It feels like it's a popularity contest. It's like, I don't even get the proper notifications anymore. Like, the only things I ever wanted on Twitter when it came to notifications, or when people were fucking talking directly to me. That's it. Now I get fucking notifications for, hey, somebody over here liked this person, or somebody over here responded or made a post. I mean, I don't give a fuck about that stuff. And see, that's the thing about the tool itself that has changed. It didn't used to function like that. It used to only be top to bottom. That was it. And like so many other now social media platforms, it has become that. It's not just a tool to communicate anymore like it was. I don't know what the original intent was. It's been over 10 years. It's been like 15 now or something like that. When everybody started getting smartphones and cell phones, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, they all kind of started cropping up at roughly the same time. I mean, they all existed in some form or another around that time. But like when there was YouTube community and Twitter was starting to become a bigger thing, it was like, hey, let's talk to each other on Twitter. And then you'd have actual real conversations on Twitter with each other. Now it's not that. It's like, it's gotchas, it's politics, it's this, it's that. It's not a conversation. It is not community. Twitter does not do what it used to do. It might have similarities in function, but it's not what it used to do. And I'm not trying to be old man grumpy pants and saying, things just aren't what they used to be. It's like, there's a legitimate problem with it. There's a legitimate problem with what social media has become. Most of us are aware of this. It allows us to monologue. It allows us to have our little echo chambers. There's no way for people to have a true conversation about anything. It's like, I want to go talk to people who thought, okay, Kyle Rittenhouse thing. Again, sorry, my brain's still on it sometimes. Because it still keeps cropping up. No matter where I go, it still keeps cropping up. I want to go have an actual sit down with some people across this country and actually talk about them. I want to talk to them, and about the things that have mattered in the world in recent days. Whether it's COVID, via Omicron, if it's the election, if it's the insurrection, whatever it is, things that matter, current events with actual real people, not just white Americans either, but as many people as possible. Because as much as I like to monologue, I like to have real conversations. Because I'm not the only one in this world. I'm not. The world doesn't revolve around me. Sometimes I want it to. But I'm also aware of the fact that that's stupid. But we have been, while it is a good thing that social media, YouTube, etc. have allowed everyone to have a voice, that is a good thing. I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care how stupid somebody else's opinion is. It is a good thing that we have all been given voices. Caveat, the downside is that now everybody thinks your own voice is just as equivalent. It allows us all to monologue, and it prevents us from having real, actual conversations. I don't care how much you type. I don't care how little you type. You can't truly have a real conversation on the internet these days. You can try, but a real conversation isn't just text. It's not a real conversation. It's seeing a person respond. You know, let's say if I ask you, do you have a job? And you get a little offensive in the way that you respond. Of course I have a job. Oh, really? Why would you respond in that way? Let's break that down. Screw wherever I may have been going. Let's hit that spot. Let's talk about that thing. Let's talk about why you responded with, of course I have a job. Why did you sound almost defensive, perhaps? It's not a Kafka trap. It's just asking a question because I want to know the answer. And none of this, I'm just asking questions because you're not really asking questions. That's called begging the question. You're trying to get that answer. The question that you're asking is the answer you're seeking. That's what fuckhead Carlson and a lot of other talking heads do. And yes, unfortunately, he's been in my brain too because of bullshit. You know, when you try to go to certain places and you just want to, see people's opinions, but then no matter where you go, it's always the same fuckheads that they're talking about, whether they're praising or they're demonizing them. And it's like, and I just did it too. Sorry, I apologize. It's a fucking cancer. And that's part of why I want to have real conversations. Not just watch everybody fucking monologue. Even though I'm the one monologuing right now. So you know what? I'm not going to monologue anymore. I'm going to stop. I'm going to go to this... shit. I have crap I got to pick up at the mailbox now. That's going to take up a lot more space. So I may not even go to the storage. We'll see. So I'm going to go run some errands. Took a shower last night. And I'll do some more stuff on the internet, hopefully with regards to housing and shit. Because that's really what this is all about. This is about, these videos is about my struggle right now. And maybe that's what everybody's monologuing about too. I don't know. Maybe that's why we need to start having real conversations with people in person. Don't record it. Who fucking cares? Have a real conversation. It's not about the clicks. It's not about the likes. It's not about the views. All that shit doesn't fucking matter. What really matters is having real conversations, real relationships with real people. Not just voices in your head that just happen to be written on a screen. Like, again, the internet is a tool. Twitter is a tool. Facebook, YouTube, etc. They're all tools. But the tools have been adjusted to work a certain way now. To where certain content is more upfront. Angry stuff, emotional stuff, etc. Not real dialogue. And I'm aware through my media training, that stuff is what gets people's attentions anyway. And that's, you know, when you're trying to pay the bills, you're trying to get as much money as you can. It's just like any other human behavior. The path of least resistance. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to do the least amount of work to get the best results when it comes to this homeless situation. But I gotta figure some shit out. I also have some shit I gotta do. So I'm gonna go do some shit. I'm gonna eat my food, and I'm gonna go to the mailbox and maybe to the storage unit. We'll see. Have fun.